Hi, Year 10. I just wanted to do this video for you so that you can have a look at our first assessment task for this term before you come to class this week, and that way you can come to class with as many questions as you have. We will also go through this assessment briefly in class, but this video is designed for you to be able to look back at any point that you need to and just listen to me explaining what your first task is for this term. So we have spoken about this in class quite often, and I have mentioned it in the last 2 weeks. This is your first assessment task for this term. It's an assignment, and it's going to be an analytical essay, okay? So it is week 3 at the moment, and this is due on Wednesday of week 8. So if you can make a note of that in your calendars so that you don't forget. This is our first instrument for our unit, which is an unjust world, okay? Now, your assessment conditions, it says that you have 2 weeks. I'm actually giving you a little bit more time to work on this because we will do much work in class, looking at characters and looking at key themes. And this is also a take-home assignment as well. So you will be expected to work on this at home and not just to rely on class time to work on it, okay? So you actually have about 4 weeks notice of this task. Your draft is due year 10 on Sunday of week 6. So if you have a look, it's due in week 8, Wednesday of week 8, and your draft is due on Sunday of week 6. So we don't have class on a Sunday, which would mean that you need to submit your work to Google Classroom. Regardless of whether or not we have class, it still needs to be submitted by the end of Sunday. And I will put in here by 3 p.m. Okay? That's important that you have that done so that I can give you feedback and that you have more time to work on refining your draft. So let's take a look at the task itself, okay? Here are a few of your conditions, all right? All planning must be completed and submitted to me, and I'm going to give you some materials to work with, so you need to do your planning in this document. Your planning can also be completed outside of class. You don't have to just use class time to do it. We'll begin the drafting process in class, so under my supervision, but you can also work on your draft at home. Your draft must be submitted with the final essay submission, so when you hand in your good copy, you also must hand in a printed version of your draft, okay? And that's for me to make comparisons between your draft and your final copy. So if you're working in Google Docs, you might need to make a copy of your draft so that you've got it there. You do have access to resources, and when we say resources, we mean things like dictionaries, thesaurus, books, or also I'm going to give you a book that helps you with your vocabulary and your sentence and paragraph structure as well. And obviously you have access to the novella, which is Of Mice and Men. You are only allowed to have feedback on one draft, so you are only allowed to get written feedback from me once. Your final version must be typed, not written by hand, and you need to submit this to Google Classroom. The length of this essay is 600 to 800 words, okay? With the length, guys, it's important to note that you can go over the word limit by 10% without a penalty. When I talk about a penalty, I'll explain the criteria to you and where you could possibly be penalised if you are way over the word limit or way under the word limit. So it's plus or minus 10%. That means 100 words more or less than the word limit that you see here, okay? So if you give me 900 words or 500 words, you're just within the cusp of not being marked down too heavily. Remember that if you're writing 600 words or less, it's very hard to do well on this task, okay? So in this unit, you have explored the key concept of representations in the novel Of Mice and Men. You are required to write an essay that explores a clear line of inquiry in relation to the literary text that you've studied in class. And I'm going to give you a line of inquiry, otherwise known as an essay question or stimulus. The essay must be formal, well-structured, and use a wide range of textual evidence. That means quotes. This essay will offer you the opportunity to develop as an independent critical thinker and writer, okay? So you are to write an analytical essay which responds to the following question. To what extent does John Steinbeck explore the global issues of power and justice through the representation of characters in Of Mice and Men? So this is your task. I'm going to do another video explaining the criteria, okay? You can see that you have a planning document here as well, and I'll just